As nation prepares for COVID-19 vaccination, Health Ministry says vaccines could be administered within 10 days of getting go-ahead from the government. Systems and processes in place, CoWIN app to be used. Doctors and other frontline workers need not register for the vaccine. India continues to make progress in fight against COVID-19. Active cases dropped to their lowest level of 2,32,000 in 6 months. Recovery rate at 96.32%. 71 people infected with new strain of the virus. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson cancels his India visit due to COVID pandemic as Britain registered 58,000 new cases in a day. Johnson was to be chief guest at India's Republic Day celebrations. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in Sri Lanka for 3-day visit. Minister to meet President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today. India gets respite from cold wave. Met Department says no cold wave conditions likely for next 4 to 5 days. Also predicts moderate to intense wet spell in northwestern India owing to western disturbance. In international news, COVID-19 tightens grip again across the world with more than 6,50,000 cases reported in a day. Germany extends nationwide lockdown with tougher restrictions to curb the surge. Voters cast their ballot in a pair of US Senate runoff elections in Georgia that will determine control of the chamber. Democrats need to run both runoffs to control the Senate. Hello and welcome to this edition of the news, and at the very beginning let me dive straight into our cover story. It's about vaccination in India. So far 2 vaccines have been approved and word is vaccination could begin very soon. This even as Pune's Serum Institute of India and the Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech issue a joint statement putting an end to a so-called vaccine war. Here's more.
The wait is over. Almost. India could soon begin vaccinations against the coronavirus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it would be the biggest vaccination program of its kind in the world. 2 vaccines have already got the nod.
हमने ये कहा है कि जिस भी दिन वैक्सीन को ये एक्सेलरेटेड अप्रूवल मिलता है, जो कि 2 तारीख की SEC की बैठक में रिकमेंड किया गया और 3 तारीख को ड्रग्स कंट्रोलर जनरल ने इसकी घोषणा की, उसके 10 दिन के भीतर हमारी तैयारी रोल आउट करने की है. अंतिम निर्णय सरकार द्वारा लिया जाना है.
The government says elaborate preparations have been made for vaccination. Systems and processes have been put in place for distribution and administration of vaccine, including an app for the purpose of effective management of the vaccination program. Doctors and other frontline workers would get the vaccine first.
इसमें सेशन एलोकेशन हो सकता है, आधार ऑथेंटिकेशन हो सकता है और इसमें यूनिक हेल्थ आईडी का क्रिएशन हो सकता है, AEFI की रिपोर्टिंग हो सकती है. 12 भाषाओं में ये आपके फ़ोन पर SMS भेजने की सुविधा रखता है. QR कोड आधारित वैक्सीनेशन सर्टिफिकेट ये जनरेट करेगा और आपको भेजेगा यदि आपने दोनों डोजेज लगवा ली हों. टू ट्रबल शूट देयर प्रॉब्लम्स एंड इश्यूज वी वुड हैव अ 24/7 हेल्पलाइन which will be addressing these issues.
Recently, 2 vaccines, Covaxin and Covishield, got emergency authorization from the government. Serum Institute of India, Pune, is behind the Covishield vaccine. It has been manufactured in partnership with Oxford University and British-Swedish company AstraZeneca, while Covaxin is a made-in-India vaccine manufactured by Bharat Biotech, Hyderabad, in collaboration with the Indian Council of Medical Research. On Tuesday, the 2 companies issued a joint statement communicating their pledge towards a smooth rollout of COVID-19 vaccines to India and the world. The statement reads, Mr. Adar Poonawalla and Dr. Krishna Ella jointly, on behalf of the 2 companies, today communicated their combined intent to develop, manufacture and supply the COVID-19 vaccines for India and globally. They said the more important task in front of them is saving the lives and livelihoods of populations in India and the world. Vaccines are a global public health good, and they have the power to save lives and accelerate the return to economic normalcy at the earliest. Now that 2 COVID-19 vaccines have been issued EUA, Emergency Use Authorization in India, the focus is on manufacturing, supply and distribution such that populations that need it the most receive high-quality, safe and efficacious vaccines. Both the companies are fully engaged in this activity and consider it our duty to the nation and the world at large to ensure a smooth rollout of vaccines. Each of our companies continue their COVID-19 vaccines development activities as planned. Both companies respect the great work being carried out by each other and put behind us the miscommunication and misunderstanding caused during the past week. We are fully aware of the importance of vaccines for people and countries alike. We hereby communicate our joint pledge to provide global access for our COVID-19 vaccines. The Health Ministry said an emergency approval was given to Bharat Biotech's vaccine according to prescribed regulations. Several other potential vaccines are undergoing trials in the country.
In granting this permission and authorization, all scientific and statutory requirements have been met. Have no doubt that scientific criteria has been met and the regulatory norms have been followed. Our fourth vaccine has now moved into phase 3 trial, and that is again India vaccine, as you know, on a very difficult and a new and a novel platform, the DNA platform. I think that's one news that you should all celebrate.
Microsoft founder Bill Gates appreciated the approval of 2 vaccines for emergency use in India. Tagging the Prime Minister's office, Gates tweeted, quote, "It's great to see India's leadership in scientific innovation and vaccine manufacturing capability as the world works to end the COVID-19 pandemic." Meanwhile, Uttar Pradesh conducted a dry run at 6 designated places in 75 districts on Tuesday.
पूर्वाभ्यास में यह देखा जा रहा है कि जब हम वास्तविक वैक्सीनेशन का कार्य प्रारंभ करेंगे तो हमारे सामने क्या-क्या चैलेंजेस आएंगे, उन सभी चीज़ों को आज पूर्वाभ्यास के माध्यम से देख करके और जो भी उसमें गैप्स पाए जाएंगे उन सब को एड्रेस कर लिया जाएगा.
On the question of reopening of schools, the Health Ministry said vaccination drive for teachers and their families would be a prerequisite for the same. Children between the age group of 12 to 18 have been included in phase 3 trials of vaccine candidates. With Nitendra Singh in New Delhi, DD India.
And let's now take a look at the COVID situation across most affected states of the country. Kerala reported maximum number of new cases yesterday. 5,615 positive cases were reported. Besides, 4,922 patients were discharged, while 24 patients died in the past 24 hours. In Maharashtra, 3,160 new cases were registered yesterday. 2,828 patients were discharged, while 64 died in the past 24 hours. Tamil Nadu continues to show progress in daily COVID-19 case tally, with the numbers staying below the 900 mark for the 3rd day in a row. A total of 820 persons tested positive for the disease across the state yesterday. 11 deaths were reported, while 971 patients were discharged in the past 24 hours. In the national capital, Delhi, 442 new cases of infections were reported yesterday. 557 patients were cured and discharged, while 12 patients died in the past 24 hours. Currently, there are 4,562 active cases in Delhi. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a telephone conversation with Prime Minister of UK, Boris Johnson. Prime Minister Boris Johnson reiterated his thanks for India's invitation to him as the chief guest of the forthcoming Republic Day celebrations, but regretted his inability to attend in view of the changed COVID-19 context prevailing in the UK. He reiterated his keenness to visit India in the near future. Prime Minister Modi expressed his understanding of the exceptional situation in the UK, conveying his best wishes for the quick control of the pandemic spread. He looked forward, he said, to receiving Prime Minister Johnson in India at the earliest opportunity after normalization of the situation. The leaders reviewed ongoing cooperation between both countries, including in the area of making COVID-19 vaccines available for the world. They reiterated their shared belief in the potential of the India-UK partnership in the post-Brexit, post-COVID context and agreed to work towards a comprehensive roadmap for realizing this potential. In the first high-level bilateral engagement in the new year, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is on a 3-day visit to Sri Lanka. He reached Colombo yesterday. Today, the External Affairs Minister will hold bilateral meetings with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. He will also meet several other dignitaries and business leaders during the course of his day. Earlier, in a statement, the ministry had said that the visit signifies the priority both countries attach to strengthening their close and cordial relations in all spheres of mutual interest. While Sri Lankan Foreign Ministry had said that through high-level exchanges, both sides are looking forward to strengthen the bilateral relationship in multiple areas of cooperation. One of the key areas of focus during the visit could be the COVID vaccine. At least 4 states are reeling under bird flu scare, with Madhya Pradesh issuing a bird flu alert, declaring it as state-specific disaster and issuing a high alert in Mandsaur district. The testing of dead crow samples at the National Institute of High Security Animal Diseases has revealed the presence of the H5N8 virus, the avian influenza causing virus, in some samples from Indore and Mandsaur. A control room has been established in Indore for the same. District Deputy Director of Department of Animal Husbandry, Dr. Manish Ingole, has said samples of 4 dead crows have been sent to Nisad, Bhopal, and a report is expected soon. Nisad, Bhopal is the nodal body for testing the disease. The first
परिसर में कौवों में मौत का मामला इसमें आया था, तो वहाँ से 4 कौवे हमने जो है स्टेट डीआई लैब में सैंपल के लिए भेजे थे और वहीं से जो है नेशनल एनिमल डिसीज से हाई सिक्योरिटी लैब के लिए भोपाल गए थे। आज शाम को हमें इसकी जानकारी प्राप्त हो गई है। चारों कौवों में बर्ड फ्लू के लक्षण दिखे गए हैं, एवियन इन्फ्लुएंजा के।
The first case this time was reported in Rajasthan on December 31st. Curfew was imposed in around 1 kilometer area in Jhalawar town in Rajasthan as avian influenza was confirmed in the area. On the 25th of December, 50 crows were found dead at a temple in Jhalawar town. By January 4th, over 300 more birds were found dead across Rajasthan. On the 5th of January, Himachal Pradesh became the 4th state to confirm bird flu. In Kerala, a team of experts visited Alappuzha after bird flu was confirmed in certain parts of Kottayam and Alappuzha districts. Temperatures in Delhi NCR continue to remain above normal as intermittent rains are being witnessed for the 3rd day in a row today. The Met Department has predicted generally cloudy skies with light rain or drizzle for the day. It has also forecast minimum temperature to drop by a degree since yesterday and settle at around 12 degrees Celsius. From tomorrow onwards, IMD has predicted dense fog for 2 days. The Met Department has also said that a fresh western disturbance is likely to affect western Himalayan region from tomorrow. Meanwhile, snowfall and rains also continue to lash hilly parts of North India, causing roadblocks, making day-to-day life difficult for the people. Jammu and Kashmir continues to reel under a constant spell of snow. Srinagar's Dal Lake is frozen, whereas the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway is closed. District Doda is also witnessing heavy snowfall, with Kashmir, Leh and Ladakh also facing vagaries of nature as intense cold wave conditions exist in the region. Authorities have started clearing roads. And now an update on the COVID-19 situation from across the world. As of now, more than 8 crore 67 lakh coronavirus cases have been reported worldwide, with over 18 lakh 73,000 deaths. Over 6 crore 14 lakh people have recovered. The United States continues to remain the worst hit country by the pandemic so far, crossing the 2 crore mark. The US has reported over 2 crore 15 lakh cases of the virus, with the death toll surging past 3 lakh 65,000. Brazil follows the United States in terms of death toll with 1 lakh 97,000 deaths. Germany has extended its nationwide coronavirus lockdown until the end of this month, introducing tougher restrictions to curb a surge in COVID-19 infections. The new rules will restrict, for the first time, non-essential travel for residents of hard-hit areas all over Germany. Restrictions limit movement to a 15-kilometer radius in towns and districts where the number of new coronavirus cases is above 200 per lakh residents over a 7-day period. The rules also include a strict limit on gatherings since the first lockdown in the spring, with members of any one household being allowed to meet only one other person. Shops and restaurants will remain shut until the end of January. Schools continue to remain closed, with online classes until at least the end of the month. Germany has a total of over 18 lakh 4,000 cases of coronavirus, with the death toll surging past 36,000. Belgium began a large-scale rollout of its COVID vaccination program in nursing homes yesterday after an initial test conducted a week earlier in 4 locations on 700 elderly people. The general practitioner in charge of giving the vaccine to 48 elderly volunteers at Brussels nursing home, Prince Royal Francois de Vogel, welcomed the start of the campaign. The country of about 11 million people has suffered one of Europe's highest death rates per capita from the pandemic, with 60% of fatalities occurring in nursing homes. The first phase of vaccination will continue as planned, with 2 doses being injected. Belgium has over 6,50,000 cases of COVID, with a death toll past 19,000. In the United States, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has said that his state has found its first case of the more contagious UK strain of coronavirus. Cuomo said that a man in his 60s living in a town north of Albany has the new strain. The man has no travel history suggesting of community spread. New York has carried out 5,000 tests for the new strain. So far has only found the 1 case. Cuomo said it could be a game changer if the new strain increases hospitalizations and forces regions to close down. At least 3 other U.S. cases of the so-called UK variant have been documented since last week in Florida, California and Colorado. New York has a total of over 10,82,000 COVID cases, with the death toll surging past 38,000. Health authorities in Los Angeles scramble to tackle an upward trend in the number of COVID-19 hospitalizations. The authorities have even advised medics and first responders to stop bringing adults who cannot be resuscitated to hospital for treatment. The U.S. public health authorities have also warned that vaccination targets are not being met due to a lack of planning and federal funding. As per U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, so far over 6,460 first doses of COVID. I'm sorry about that. That should have read 4 crore and over 83 lakh vaccines in the country have been administered, but still fell short of over 20 million doses. Israel will further tighten its ongoing nationwide lockdown spanning up to 14 days in a bid to tackle the swollen COVID cases in the country. The stricter lockdown will come into force between January 7th and 8th. Israel has already inoculated 15% of its population with the vaccine, but new cases have skyrocketed even after the vaccine rollout. The country has over 4,56,130 cases of the infection, with deaths standing above 3,490. A recent data quoted a sharp fall in international tourist arrivals in the month of November in Spain by 90% due to COVID-19 induced lockdowns and new travel restrictions. As per the National Statistic Institute, over the first 11 months of the year, some 19 million foreign tourists visited Spain, around 78% fewer than in the same period of 2019. The situation in the Canary Islands, a major tourist attraction for known for its mild temperature, has even worsened owing to travel restrictions. The decline in international tourist arrivals has rendered over 3.89 million people jobless in the country in the month of December. In the biggest crackdown against democratic opposition under the new national security law in Hong Kong, over 50 pro-democratic activists and campaigners have been arrested for breaking the law. The arrests include well-known democratic figures and former lawmakers James To, Lam Cheuk Ting and Lester Shum. The Democratic Party's Facebook page has said police arrested the activists for participating in an independently organized ballot last year to select Democratic candidates for an upcoming legislature election, which the Hong Kong government and Beijing warned at the time may violate the new law. Shares on Wall Street ended higher on Tuesday in choppy trading as investors took advantage of the previous session's slump to buy them back ahead of the outcome of the Senate runoff elections in the battleground state of Georgia, which will determine the balance of power in Washington. Overall, analysts expect the stock market to consolidate December's gains in January. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 0.55% to 30,391.6. The S&P 500 gained 26.21 points to 3,726.86, and the Nasdaq Composite added 0.95% to 12,818.96. Energy stocks jumped 4.5% on the back of higher oil prices, while healthcare and materials hit fresh record highs. The Grammy Awards ceremony that was set for January 31st has been postponed because of the coronavirus surge in Los Angeles. The two outlets have cited multiple sources as saying the ceremony will present the highest awards in the music industry may take place in March now. Los Angeles is experiencing a spike in coronavirus deaths and hospital admissions, while gyms, salons, and restaurants have been shut down and residents urged to stay at home as much as possible. The annual Oscars ceremony was moved last year to April from late February because of the COVID pandemic. Polls closed in Georgia today morning after voters cast their ballot in a pair of runoff elections that will determine both control of the U.S. Senate and Democratic President-elect Joe Biden's ability to push through an ambitious legislative agenda. Republican incumbents David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler face Democratic challengers John Ossoff, a documentary filmmaker, and the Reverend Raphael Warnock, a pastor at a historic black church in Atlanta. Election day in Georgia comes a day ahead of a joint session of Congress to certify the Electoral College vote and cement President-elect Joe Biden's victory. President Trump is pressuring Vice President Pence, who will preside over the session, to intervene in the tally. Tottenham Hotspur eased into the English Football League final after overcoming Brentford FC 2-0 yesterday night. Sissoko scored the first goal from Tottenham as the team chased silverware for 13 years. They had lifted this trophy under Juan de Ramos in 2008, and they will now await winners of the Manchester Derby in the other semi-final today. And that's all we have time for in this edition of the news. News and updates continue on DD India. Stay tuned. Namaskar.